Hey, how's it going, guys? So about a year ago, I bumped into the wonderful people at aMTBer Products in the Santa Cruz Mountains at the Soquel Demonstration Forest. They're the guys who came up with the idea of the sag card, which is a very, very simple way to measure sag on your suspension when you're setting stuff up. But they also have these chain lubes which they're coming out with. And John, who I met out in demo, sent me a couple of these lubes to check out, and I've been running these lubes exclusively on this bike for the last few weeks since it was very first built. They do come with a set of printed instructions which are about 2 pages long, so that can be kind of intimidating, but it's actually simple. It really is. And he also sent a couple of brushes to like really work it in. I actually use a different method to get the lube on the chain, but I'll show you how I do it. So anyways, first thing this is important, you gotta make sure your chain is clean. You can degrease it. What I do is I use WD-40 rag. I really make sure I get all that stuff out of there. And then after I WD-40 and rag it, I just hose it off. I put the bike on the roof rack of my car and just drive down the freeway to air dry, and voila, clean chain, right? So the first thing I do once I got that chain nice and fresh and clean is I use their Smoothe lube. So look for the master link on your chain so that you have a starting point of where you're dripping the lube in. So there it is. And then I'll drip the lube all the way over. You can drip it from the top or the bottom, it doesn't really matter. And then after that, aMTBer Products actually tells you to use the brush they supply you to get to work the lube and the wax all over into the rollers. I actually just used a Ziploc bag which came in the package and just like rubbed it in with my hands. It's just a lot quicker and more efficient, I think. After that, I let it sit for a bit, and then I use the Lubenschliden, which is a much thicker lube, and then I do the exact same thing. He also sent me their Formula 5311 lube, which is kind of like the road bike long distance lube, which I've used every once in a while, and I stopped using it just because I think like the Smoothe lube and the Lubenschliden's been good enough. So I can just use that for my road bike at this point. But yeah, this whole chain loop system which they've come up with is a wax-based system, which is supposed to be similar to what those old school guys would do, taking their chains off their bikes, dipping it in wax and all that stuff. This is essentially that, and it comes in a bottle. So it might seem like, man, there's a lot of things which go into this, and there's like instructions and all this, but when you think about what this is compared to that whole process of actually waxing your chain, it's so much easier. I've been running this setup for I don't know, since this bike has been built, and it's been fine so far. It took a while for the chain and the wax to break in and stuff, and that took about 100 miles or so, but after that it's been really quiet, and it did last pretty long, I think longer than most dry lubes. It is a wax-based coating. It comes on really, really, really thick. You actually have to cut the hole off the bottle at the top to make sure it drips down, or it's going to take forever. But it drips down and it comes out like a whitish, bluish, grayish tint, and then it comes out pretty wet, and at some point, give it a day or so, and it will dry pretty clear. Once it dries, it's just there, and you can like rub your hand all over the chain. It's fine. It's just like a wax coating, which is kind of cool compared to some of these other dry lubes where if you try and do that, your hands are just black. But yeah, I've been running these since the beginning of this bike, and it's been running well so far. It's been through our winter conditions out here, bunch of mud, some clay, river crossings, and we've been riding it through California dust and all that stuff too, and it stays pretty darn quiet once it's broken in. So yeah, I've been pretty happy with this lube. I would say definitely check them out. Yeah, Links to aMTBer products website is down in the description. Click up here to go to their YouTube channel. And yeah. Thanks again, John, for sending me these lubes to try out. And don't forget to click here to subscribe. Click here for the Soquel demo video where I break that rear wheel and then John has his snippers. I snip the smoke off and stuff. Click here for John's story. Click here for something else. As always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys on the trail.